Book's not out, already a bestseller. All right, congratulations, Megan. Welcome to Hannity. All right, just 5 days to go before you, the American people, head to the polls. Democrats are being exposed for exactly what they are: divisive, manipulative, and tonight we'll show you downright racist. In just a few minutes, Rudy Giuliani, Laura Ingraham, and others will join us. But first, Project Veritas is out with a disturbing new undercover video. It appears to show a major Democratic donor making racist comments about African Americans. Now, Fox News, as we told you before, this is a fifth in a series, has not independently verified the content of what you're about to see. We've got to warn you, this is beyond shocking. Take a look.
Our journalist was speaking with Leah and Benjamin Barber. Mr. Barber is a well-known political theorist and author, and he is a major donor to Democrats, and specifically to Hillary Clinton.
But you think, like, as like a black man, you think that they would vote for the Holocaust? Well, it depends on, well, yes. But you think, like, as like a black man, you think that they would vote for the Holocaust? Well, it depends on, well, yes.
Jewish guards who affect help murder Jews in the camp so they could live alone. So there were even Jews who were helping the Nazis weren't Jews.
Same thing?
So blacks who are sort of helping the other side, they're equally they're really helping the enemy who will destroy them. Maybe thinking they might help them, it'll be different. Maybe, I'll get off okay, or somehow I'll save my race by working for the murderers.
Outrageous and beyond shocking. Now, we've reached out to the Clinton campaign and to Benjamin Barber asking for a comment. We've not heard back from them. If you're surprised by that video, you shouldn't be, because this is exactly who the Democrats really are, and it's exactly how Democrats really feel. This video is not just some one-off example of the feelings of Democrats and what they truly feel and the feelings they hold. It's the norm in Hillary Clinton's Democratic Party. Now, let me explain to you. Over the summer, WikiLeaks released thousands of emails from the DNC, which at the time was run by Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And what was discovered is that high-level staffers and their associates, they made racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, misogynistic, and sexist comments. In one email, they made fun of a woman's name, quote, LaQuinia, I'm sorry, boo, I hope you get a raise with this title. And in another email, DNC staffers spoke about using Senator Bernie Sanders' Jewish faith against him in states like West Virginia and Kentucky. In a separate incident, a now former DNC finance director used a homophobic term, writing, quote, I love you too, no, when you can read it yourself. And that's not all. We also learned through WikiLeaks that the DNC approved a fake Craigslist ad that they used to attack Donald Trump that featured extremely sexist language. Now, you would think that Hillary Clinton, who accuses everybody else of saying horrible things, that she'd be so disgusted that she would disavow all of those who were involved. No, she didn't. In fact, after Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to step down as the head of the DNC, Clinton made her part of her campaign. Now, Clinton also said back in June that Wasserman Schultz is, quote, a longtime friend. Now, would you call someone who oversaw that type of conduct a longtime friend? I doubt it. And could you imagine, by the way, just for a second, if Donald Trump said or did even a fraction of this, the left in this country would go nuclear and insane. But when their own people say it, deafening silence. You can hear the crickets. That's because the Democrats have a long history of these types of remarks. Now, let's go down memory lane. Let's take a look about what they said about President Obama. You may remember this. According to the New Yorker, during the 2008 primaries, Bill Clinton said this to Senator Ted Kennedy about Obama, quote, hey, a few years ago, this guy would have been carrying our bags. Senator Harry Reid also made racist comments about Obama. According to the book Game Change, Reid was, quote, wowed by Obama's oratorical gifts and believed that the country was ready to embrace a black presidential candidate, especially one such as Obama, light-skinned, African-American, with no, quote, Negro dialect, unless he wanted to have one. And, of course, the vice president, Joe Biden, crazy Uncle Joe, he said this about Obama.
You got the first sort of mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook.
Storybook? Well, he's articulate, clean. takes a shower. Shocking. Now, instead of recognizing their own history of rampant racism, the Democrats do what they always do, and they falsely accuse Republicans and conservatives of the very thing they are guilty of. Now, here's President Obama playing the race card and trying to tie Donald Trump to the KKK. He did this today.
If you accept the support of Klan sympathizers before you're in office, you'll accept their support while in office.
Outrageous. Now, you would think President Obama, when making such an explosive claim, that he'd have facts to back it up, but he doesn't. He plays the race card. Now, the KKK is a domestic terrorist group, and frankly, Donald Trump isn't connected to any domestic terrorist groups in any way, shape, manner, or form. Now, if we're talking about connections to domestic terrorists, well, then we should point out, of course, that President Obama's ties to the unrepentant domestic terrorists Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dohrn. Mr. President, you want to go there? Let's talk about it. Not to mention, I don't think that Donald Trump's pastor, I don't think his pastor of 20 years ever said these things.
The stuff we have done overseas is now brought right back into our own front yards. America's chickens are coming home to roost. No, no, no. Not God bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible.
Remember, Obama said he is like family to me. 20 years in the pews, but I had no idea he thought this way. Hillary Clinton, she's also made similar accusations against Donald Trump, trying to paint him as a supporter of the KKK, while ignoring her very own relationship to someone who was actually in the Ku Klux Klan. And here's what Hillary said about her mentor, former Klansman Robert KKK Byrd, right after he died.
Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility. From my first day in the Senate, I sought out his guidance, and he was always generous with his time and his wisdom. I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents. As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel.
Her mentor. How's she praising someone like that? Now, keep in mind, this is the same Robert Byrd that said this on Tony's Snow Show years ago.
Are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time. I'm going to use that word. But we just need to work together to make our country a better country.
That guy right there, former Klansman, Hillary Clinton's mentor. Now, Clinton and the Democrats, for decades, they've tried to wrongfully strike fear into the hearts of African-American voters. Take a look at Al Gore going into his preacher voice and saying this.
It's wrong what the leader of the Republican Party and this Congress are doing in blocking an accurate census because they don't want to count everyone that they don't think they can count on. They are in favor of affirmative action if you can dunk the basketball or sink a three-point shot. But they're not in favor of it if you merely have the potential to be a leader in your community and bring people together. Don't tell me we've got a colorblind society.
Then he went on to say Republicans don't even want to count black Americans in the census. Now, Clinton and the Democrats have also relentlessly pandered to African-American voters by doing things like this.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy.
Now, why does Al Gore and Hillary change their tone, their pitch, their cadence, their entire delivery if they go before predominantly black audiences? Now, we also cannot ignore Hillary Clinton's claims to be the champion of human rights, women's rights, gay rights. Remember, the Clinton Foundation accepted millions and millions and millions in donations from countries that treat women, gays and lesbians, and religious minorities horribly. Her foundation has taken millions of dollars from countries like Saudi Arabia. Look at the money right there that they gave to the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation, Kuwait, the UAE, Brunei, Qatar, Oman, Algeria. Joining us with reaction, nationally syndicated radio talk show host, our friend Larry Elder is with us. I hear you're at a big event tonight. Is that true?
I am. I'm here in Colorado, another swing state. We're going to Ohio tomorrow and then Pennsylvania. Did Nevada yesterday.
Awesome. You know, one of the reasons when the president came out with that Klan comment today, I can't take it. I can't tolerate, as a conservative, Larry Elder, you want to say something horrible about somebody? Call them a racist. And the Democrats do this every single election season. And what the President of the United States and the Clinton campaign are doing by playing this card is a national disgrace and a lie. But it's the very thing they themselves behind closed doors are guilty of.
And, Sean, it is nothing new. They say behind closed doors what they often say in public, and they get a pass. Claire McCaskill, when she first ran for Senate, said George W. Bush let people die on rooftops in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina because they were poor and they were black. Gloria Allred referred to Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell when they were in the Bush administration as, quote, Uncle Tom types. Barney Frank was talking about Hurricane Katrina, and he said George Bush responded sluggishly because he wanted ethnic cleansing by inaction. And Harry Belafonte, Sean, said exactly in public what that man said in private. He said he was calling George W. Bush a racist, and somebody pointed out that Bush had appointed a lot of blacks to high positions, referring to Condi Rice and Colin Powell. And Harry Belafonte said, well, Hitler had a lot of Jews higher up in the hierarchy as well. So they say it publicly. You had Charlie Rango saying that Republicans don't say N-word anymore or S-word anymore. They just say, let's cut taxes. I could go on and on and on. Joe Biden gives a speech before a black audience in 2012, and he's criticizing Mitt Romney for not wanting further regulation on Wall Street. And he tells his black audience he wants to unchain Wall Street, wants to put y'all back in chains. They do it all the time. They use the race card as a sword and as a shield.
And you can't go to a 7-Eleven unless you have a slight, or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I guess the only thing is this by the President of the United States. They this is identity politics. They play the race card. They play the gender card. All these tactics, they divide this country, rich versus poor, black versus white, young versus old. It never stops. And, of course, every Republican, every conservative wants to take grandma in her wheelchair and throw her over the cliff and kill her. And meanwhile, grandma now is paying on average $4,100 a year per family in health care costs because of Hillary and Obama.
And, Sean, the goal is to tell black people that the number one problem facing the black community is racism. Not bad schools, not the breakdown of the family, not jobs, it's racism. So you have Debbie Wasserman Schultz, when she was head of the DNC, saying the Republican Party wants to drag us back to Jim Crow, wants to turn back the clock on civil rights. Why don't you name the name? Is Paul Ryan out to commit genocide? Is Mitch McConnell out to commit genocide? Is Ted Cruz out to commit genocide? It is ridiculous, but they know that it works. It's a dog whistle that they blow, and a lot of black people buy into it because the Democratic Party has taught black people that they are victims, that those guys over there, those Republicans, are victimizers. And by the way, we wear the white horse, we wear the white hat and ride the white horse, and we're the saviors. People have bought into it.
All right, Larry, we always appreciate you being here. Good luck at your event tonight. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
And coming up, according to reports, the FBI has uncovered emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop that are related to Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State. And by the way, they're not duplicates. Ed Henry has a full live report tonight. Plus, we'll get reaction from former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and Laura Ingraham, and also later tonight. Donald Trump highlights Hillary Clinton's corrupt practices. We'll check in with Jason Miller, Laura Ingraham, and you're going to meet the mother of a young man who served this country and took 6 pictures inside a submarine. He's in jail tonight. Hillary Clinton, she's running for president. Wait till we show you a video. You're going to want to record this and send it to all your friends. Straight ahead. Away anytime soon. Here with the very latest is Fox's own Ed Henry. Ed, this is getting bigger and bigger, and you got the Justice Department versus the FBI versus the White House. There's a war going on there in D.C. I hope you're not a part of it.
No, I'm not, but you're right. There are FBI agents frustrated that more was not done earlier, particularly about the Clinton Foundation. A new development tonight, you heard Republican Donald Trump on the stump citing a report by CBS News that FBI agents in kind of a separate part of this investigation, there's multiple investigations, you know, going through the laptop of Huma Abedin. You see her there. She was in Washington tonight at a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton with Anna Wintour, Diane Van Furstenberg as well. And it's interesting because we had not seen her in almost a week out and about, but she's raising money for Hillary Clinton. What this CBS report is saying, and what I have from an FBI source tonight, is that they are picking up some emails from that laptop that Anthony Weiner had that basically Hillary Clinton's name comes up. It's not clear whether there was classified information or not, but why this is significant is that initially when Friday investigated, it's duplicate emails. This FBI source tonight is saying, no, they're getting fresh emails, and Hillary Clinton is named at least in some of these emails. So that might heat up that part of the investigation. Then WikiLeaks today had several more emails coming out about Hillary Clinton and whether or not she had turned over all of her work-related correspondence. In particular, a March 4th, 2015 email exchange where Clinton aide Jen Paul Mary wrote colleagues that Cheryl Mills was close to a deal with the State Department to release more of those work emails. But one advisor replied, if there's a release of the 55,000 pages, are there others that are not being released? Joel Benenson, the chief strategist of the campaign, said definitely. Well, that's interesting because you'll remember also on March 4th, in this new email, Mandy Grunwald pressed Paul Mary on how they decided which emails were personal and deleted. She said, quote, family and friends, are Huma, Philippe, Cheryl, etc., included in the 55,000 work-related? That was what Grunwald was asking. No clear answer there. And the reason why that's a critical question is you can tie this back to the Clinton Foundation with Huma Abedin, Philippe Reines, as well as Cheryl Mills, particularly Mills and Abedin. In addition to working at the State Department, where you would think they would have had official emails that would have been collected and then released, they also were paid by the Clinton Foundation and were doing work for the Clinton Foundation. So as the FBI now looks at this investigation into the Clinton Foundation that Brett Baer's been reporting about the last couple of days, you would think some of those emails from Mills and Abedin would be important because they were basically working for two different entities at the time, Sean, and that would be right at the nexus of what the FBI is trying to get at, which is, were there favors being done at the State Department for Clinton Foundation donors? It's something we can't answer tonight. There have certainly been allegations about that. But this gets to the heart of whether Hillary Clinton was telling the truth when she said way back in March 2015 that she turned over all work-related emails, Sean.
It's getting more interesting by the day. Ed, great reporting as always. Thanks for being with us. Joining us now with reaction, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. By the way, Mr. Mayor, as we're coming on the air, and I just got this report on my email, it literally just broke. The race for the Oval Office has tightened significantly. The two candidates are now tied in Florida, North Carolina, and apparently Michigan is narrowed so much the state is too close to be called. Ohio is the dead heat, and Pennsylvania is only now barely tilting Clinton. This thing is blown it wide open.
Yeah, I just came back from Pennsylvania. Yeah. I did two events in Philadelphia with the police. The FOP of Philadelphia completely in support of Donald Trump. I don't think there's a policeman in this country who doesn't support Donald Trump, given what Hillary has done to the police, and also their understanding, like the FBI agents who are in revolt, that this is a corrupt person. I mean,
this is important what you're saying. This is the FBI rank and file.
Look,
that is,
I told you, I think a year ago, that she violated the laws.
Let me put them up on the screen. This is what we call Rudy's list.
I told you a year ago that she violated the laws of the United States, serious laws of the United States.
These are the specific laws you said.
Everything coming out now completely corroborates what I was saying, because it doesn't take a genius to figure out if you have Abedin and Cheryl Mills working for the State Department and the Clinton Foundation, all of a sudden they became one. The minute they became one, you had a crime, because she promised Obama she would keep them separate because it would create a conflict of interest. Now, I look at the first case that came out. Nobody disputes these facts. I could put her in jail and convict her of this. UBS, big bank. They had 56,000 identities they were trying to hide from the IRS. UBS gave the Clintons $660,000 in contributions to the Clinton Foundation, a $30 million loan to the Clinton Foundation, and a $1.5 million speaking fee to Bill Clinton. And they got Hillary to get on an airplane, go to Geneva, and try to convince the IRS to lay off UBS.
Unbelievable.
The IRS did, and they only got 4,000 of the 56,000
As Brett
emails.
Baer's been reporting.
That's a bribe.
Of course, well, that's pay to play.
That's a bribe.
That's quid pro quo. That's a bribe.
Pay
I got
to
it.
play. It's called bribery.
It's called
15
bribery.
years in jail.
Yeah.
I put 2 congressmen in jail for that.
You did.
She did about 10 of these.
All right.
I feel bad for the cases that I prosecuted because they were so small in comparison.
Did you meet the woman that's out?
To the massive fraud this woman was involved in.
Did you meet the woman in the green room? She's going to be on later tonight. Her son took 6 pictures for his own use of a submarine. He's in jail for a year. He's got a one-year-old baby at home.
We have the FBI telling us there's a 99% chance that at least 4 or 5 foreign countries were able to have
99% chance.
99% chance, which to me means 100% chance. Look, if China doesn't have their email, then we don't have to worry about China. If Russia doesn't have their emails, we don't have to worry about Russia.
They all have it.
They're a joke. You know,
the Romanians
they're
have
joke.
it. The Iranians have it.
Yeah.
The Russians have it. The Chinese have it.
Look, ISIS has it.
That's what I was going to say next.
Yeah. Come on.
All right, so...
Then they're not worth anything if they don't have it.
But let's put something together here. Remember when the AP did this story? 55% of the people, individuals that got access to Hillary were all donors to the foundation. Now, if you look at the Uranium One deal, where Hillary Clinton had to sign off specifically. Now, she was given $31 million by the principal involved. Then he got others to give her millions. And then they were merging with other companies and eventually with a Russian company. She signed off 20% of our uranium assets but to give back to the people that gave her tens of millions. Then you got the Moroccan deal, which is a direct quid pro quo. Then you've got the Haiti deal. Let's have 2 separate lists of people.
Yeah, this idea that there's no quid pro quo for me for the last 7 months, 8 months, has been a joke. The Russian deal is probably the worst. What Secretary of State in the last, I don't know, since the communist revolution in Russia would sign off on 20% of our uranium going to Russia, but one who was bribed? And she was bribed. The people who made money on that were all of Bill Clinton's friends who had arranged a deal with Kazakhstan and the dictator Nazarbayev of the Kazakhstan, and they made hundreds of millions of dollars, and they gave 30 million of that to the Clinton Foundation, and then they put a lot of money in Clinton's pocket as a speaking fee. That is bribery. No Secretary of State, since the time that Russia became a communist country through now with Putin trying to assert himself, would possibly give 20% of our uranium to Russia.
Nobody would.
And she is making these allegations about Trump and Putin.
Which have been disproven.
What a joke. What a complete joke.
All right, let me, last question. Do you think there's any way with what we know now, short of a pardon, that she gets away without an indictment, considering the Justice Department's trying to protect her?
There is.
The FBI rank and file have now said there's no
Number one, there's one way. If in his lame duck status, Obama gives her a pardon, and he should promise the American people that he will not give her a pardon, whether she's elected or not elected.
He really should.
He should promise the American people, I will not. Look, he's completely, between him and her, they have completely corrupted the Justice Department and the State Department. Donald Trump is going to have to put in a reform agenda in both the State Department and the Justice Department, the same way that had to be done after Watergate.
All right, we're going to have to run, Mr. Mayor. We call it the Rudy Giuliani list now. It's got an official name.
I don't know when I first gave that to you. You got to give me the date.
About a year. We'll get to the date.
About a year ago, right?
Yes,
but
sir.
I turned out to be right on every single one of them, right?
Yes, sir.
And I left a few off.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're going to add to the list? All right, up next on this busy news night tonight on Hannity.
Politics.
Only 5 days to go until you, the American people, go to the polls. Donald Trump making sure that every American will know just how corrupt Hillary Clinton really is. Laura Ingraham, Jason Miller, they'll weigh in. And also tonight, Clinton Cash author, the guy that got all of this started, Peter Schweitzer, he exposed pay-to-play and the practices with the Clinton Foundation. And you'll also tonight meet the mother I was just talking to the mayor about. Her son is in jail. In jail. Why? He took 6 photos for his own use of a classified area. A mere fraction of what Hillary did. And by the way, his wife and 1-year-old child are waiting for him to come home a year from now. Straight ahead.
This message.
All right, a brand new ad put out by the Trump campaign. Joining us now, Fox News contributor, editor-in-chief of Life Z, nationally syndicated radio host Laura Ingraham, Trump campaign senior communications advisor Jason Miller. Laura, I'm looking at this breaking news. This is pretty amazing. Michigan is now in play. There's all the things you and Newt have been saying to me, and here's Mr. Doubting Thomas. You know, I need to put my hand in the side because I want to see it on paper first. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, Sean, that New Hampshire, I lived there for 4 years, a long time ago, but they're very independent people. There are a lot of Massachusetts transplants up in New Hampshire, but they don't like being told how they're going to vote. And I think people in New Hampshire get a little tired of the prognosticators with very little factual basis saying that it's over in New Hampshire. It's already leaning Democrat. Same thing with North Carolina and Colorado. We're learning a lot more about the Clintons. I think Andy McCarthy in National Review, he really said it well when he said that the foundation, it looks like, was operating ostensibly as a charity, but it really was, it looks like from these documents, and we'll learn more, is operating as a continuing criminal enterprise that was lavishing huge benefits to Clinton cronies, of course the Clintons themselves, luxury travel, advisory board appointments, and of course big speaking fees and access to Hillary Clinton. That is going to be a tumor on the presidency of a Hillary Clinton should she be elected. That is, I imagine, for a lot of people, just a bridge too far to take.
What do you think, Jason?
I think numbers are moving quick. I think this Clinton, the investigation into the foundation, on top of what we're seeing from the State Department, I think is big. You look at Mr. Trump's travel schedule. He's kicking off tomorrow. He's going to 11 states in 3 days. Tomorrow will be in Ohio, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, turning a lot of blue states or purple states red. You look at these numbers, the way that they're moving. In New Hampshire, that could put us over the top. If we win Pennsylvania,
we got to be on it. Look, this road is not easy for any Republican. Laura, I'll go back to you. That means that Trump has to win North Carolina. The polls have been tight there. Florida, it's always tight. Ohio, he'll win Ohio, I think. He'll win Iowa, I think. I think he'll win all 4 of those. But then we've got to take Nevada, and then we've got to start looking. If you take all the states that Romney won, can he get Colorado? Can he get, as you said, New Hampshire? Is Michigan really in play? Is Pennsylvania really in play, or is that a pipe dream?
Well, I think Pennsylvania, for the first time in many election cycles for a Republican, is in play because Donald Trump has made this election about the perils of globalization, corruption in Washington, and mass migration of illegal variety into the United States. That's all converged in a state like Pennsylvania and drastically reduced the standard of living of people there. You throw in the Obamacare premiums, all the new revelations, absolutely. And Sean, I just want to add, it's so serious for Hillary Clinton right now, and they're so worried that they have Barack Obama flying everywhere to try to save this for her.
Yeah,
He's
you mean
popular,
talking about the KKK?
she's not.
That Barack Obama? Pretty disgusting.
Despicable. And what happened to when they go low, we go high? You know what
exactly.
it is? We go low, and then we go lower.
Yeah, just like he was going to fix the economy, hope and change.
I mean, the fact that he's out there campaigning for her as hard as he is, I think he's in 4 states. He has 4 big events this weekend. And from what I just read, I think Hillary has 3 big events over the weekend. They'll be in a bunch of different states. She has other surrogates. But I think the damsel is in distress, and it's going to be the big rescue attempt by Barack Obama to try to save this.
Well, I wonder if the 13 million more Americans on food stamps since he's become president, the 8 million more in poverty since he's become president, and the doubling of the debt maybe kind of took a little bit of the hope and change feeling away that people had for him. Playing the race card won't help. Let me ask you one legal question, Laura. Do you think this is leading towards an indictment? Do you think that the FBI rank and file have so had it with the Justice Department, they are not going to allow this case not to be brought before the American people?
To me, the way it's going, and with my experience in white collar criminal defense, if I were Hillary Clinton, I'd be really, really worried at this point. It seems like it's pointing that way, and pointing that way in a very devastating fashion. You don't have a mutiny at the FBI for nothing, and that's looks like what we're on the verge of having.
I think so. All right, Jason, last word. What's going to happen?
Momentum. Everything's coming up Trump right now. You see Hillary's completely given up any type of positive message, all the energy, all the enthusiasm.
How disgusting is it that the President of the United States, who, hung out with unrepentant terrorists, spent 20 years in the Church of GD America, made that accusation today? Pretty low. go high and low, as Laura said.
Oh, it is pretty low, and I think the fact that we're finding all these emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop is just
pretty disgusting, too. By
disgusting.
The way, and the president lied to us about that because he said, "Oh, I found out about it from the news media."
Yeah, and the press.
Anyway, thank you guys.
Hello.
Yeah. Peter Schweitzer, when we come back, he was the first person, by the way, to expose this pay-to-play practice of the Clintons and what was happening at the Clinton Foundation. He'll react to the FBI probe, plus tonight.
I often feel like there's the Hillary standard, and then there's a standard for everybody else.
What's the Hillary standard? You're going to meet the mother. Her son now was in the service, now sitting in jail. Why? He took photos for himself of a classified area. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton didn't even get a slap on the wrist for having all that classified information, top secret information, on an unsecure private server that we now have a 99% chance was hacked by 5 foreign intelligence agencies. We'll continue.
We know Hillary can't be trusted. We've learned that. With America's security, you take a look at her email situation. Can we trust her with our security? She is disqualified for running for president of the United States. She's disqualified.
Donald Trump earlier tonight, my next guest, he was the first person to expose pay-to-play and the practices at the Clinton Foundation. And as our own Brett Baer first reported last night, the FBI is actively, aggressively pursuing an investigation into wrongdoing. Joining us now, the author of the bestseller and the best DVD, Clinton Cash, Peter Schweitzer. Peter, we don't have a lot of time. Explain what you knew and how this is now being exposed vis-a-vis WikiLeaks and the FBI.
Well, you know, the book came out April of last year. We had front-page stories, New York Times and Washington Post, confirming our findings, ABC News. The FBI, a few weeks after that, got in touch, started making queries. I mean, I actually haven't had that much contact with them. The last contact I had was at the end of February. They were doing their own investigation. The book was out there, and they've added a lot. I think one of the things that the Clinton camp is trying to spin is that basically they tossed the book on the desk and said, here's our case, which is ridiculous. They've done a lot of legwork. They interviewed a lot of people.
And you knew, by the way, you got these we now know the media is corrupt. And they've been, well, there's not really a Clinton Foundation investigation, which is total nonsense. But they're spinning it. The Justice Department is leaking to their media pals, and the media sops it up, you know, like the propagandists that they are. So you knew this investigation was ongoing from when?
I've known it from last summer. It's always hard to know on the outside, in a sense, looking in, how widespread it was. But, you know, we've had people now from the Bureau confirm the news outlets that 5 different offices, Little Rock, Washington, New York, Los Angeles, and Miami, have been looking into this, in addition to some of their overseas operations. So
is there
it's
any
very,
doubt
very
what
widespread.
they did is bribery pay to play? Meaning the Uranium One deal, or the Moroccan deal, or the list that was created for the Haiti Relief Fund?
No, there's not. I mean, Sean, you look at my book and then look at what's come out now in WikiLeaks. You had the internal review done of the Clinton Foundation at Chelsea's request, done by Simpson Thacher, a prestigious law firm in New York, and they said that donors, quote, had expectations of quid pro quos in exchange for their gifts. You look at the emails that have come out of Doug Band arranging meetings for donors. You look at the ABC
Inc.
News report.
No, Clinton Inc.
Yeah, for Clinton Inc.
Yeah,
exactly. You look at the ABC News report that to get contracts in Haiti, they actually said, is this contractor an FOB, friend of Bill? If they weren't, they sent them to some website. If they were, they got special treatment. That is classic pay-to-play, and it's illegal.
Great work. I was very proud. I think I had the first interview with you when the book came out. We've interviewed you many times since. You've done a great job and a great service to your country. All right, Peter, thank you. Coming up, you'll meet the mother. Her son, tonight, sitting in jail for taking a photo of a classified area on a submarine. Hillary Clinton is campaigning to be our next president. She should be the one in jail. Straight ahead. Of it as the Clinton campaign continues to face increased scrutiny over Hillary's mishandling of classified information. Just a minute, you're going to meet the mother of a Navy service member who says her son, Christian, is definitely being held to a very different standard than the Democratic nominee. Now, my web producer at Hannity.com put this video together. This is their story. Here, you were crying during that. I know you've seen it before, but this is your son. This is his life.
Yeah, this is, and I apologize for being tearful. I thought I was going to hold this together.
Why would you apologize? Your son, your grandbaby, you know, they won't see their father for you. He took 6 pictures on a sub, right?
Right, and so that we do get to see him, which we're very blessed that we get to see him.
In jail?
In prison, yeah. So in 2009, there was no cell phone ban on submarines at that time. Technology was new and didn't catch up. Navy hadn't caught up yet. And many of the young men, 22 years old, many of them were taking photos. A couple of them got caught under the Navy while they were on the submarine, and they were reduced to rank and fined $560. Unfortunately, my son, his cell phone was lost and then found outside of the Navy, and the FBI became involved. And so that was, you know, years ago, and we've come to this point now, flash forward to May of this year, after a lot of threats of and intimidation up towards our family. My son made the decision, and financially we just didn't have anything else.
Did your son take the pictures in the submarine to give to the Russians, or did he take it to say, oh, this is where I worked? I'm assuming the latter.
Yes, I believe he did. I really have no doubt in my mind that it was a 22-year-old guy that wanted to take a picture.
He's proud of where he worked.
Yeah.
He took pictures, and cell phones were allowed. This is outrageous. Look at these pictures. I mean, that's your 1-year-old granddaughter, right?
Yep.
No.
He has an absolutely beautiful wife who has stood by him through this, which I'm so grateful for her and her strength, and a beautiful 1-year-old daughter, yes.
I'll put up on the screen all of the offenses Cheryl Atkinson at her website put up. She's a former reporter at CBS, all the things she's done. When you compare the Hillary standard, there it is, all she's done, all that we know, all the emails that have now been uncovered, national security secrets, top classified, you know, all the top levels in this particular special access programs is the highest level of security on that unsecure email. What do you say to Hillary?
It just disgusts me. I don't understand how the American public cannot see this, that there's a clear double standard. She should be held to the same standard as every other American patriot.
When does your son get out of prison?
Next year, October.
So he's got a whole year to go.
He's got a year to go, and the hard part about it for everyone, I think, is that, you know, everyone says, well, he'll get out early for good behavior.
Maybe
Unfortunately, he won't, because he was sentenced to a full year in federal prison.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for sharing the story. We're sorry this happened to your son.
Thank you. God bless him. Please pray for us.
We will. Question of the day is next. Quick question of the day tonight. Do you think the FBI should recommend that Hillary Clinton be indicted based on what we know? Go to Facebook.com/Sean Hannity, at Sean Hannity on Twitter. Thanks for being with us. I don't know where my football went. We'll see you back here tomorrow night. Where'd it go?